Well, I guess I should say hello, good morning again, because it's now the next day. It's June 22nd now, and this is the end of the second video. If you've managed to watch it to here, you know that. The first video, I'm having a hard time getting YouTube to post it, to process it. So for the first time, YouTube has spent over 24 hours checking the video. I think maybe what's happened is I played a record at 45 that's really meant to be played at 33, and I did that purposefully so that it would defeat the YouTube algorithm. The YouTube algorithm wouldn't recognize it as copyrighted music, and I could get away with having record play. Yes, we have to listen to chipmunk singing, but what the heck. Now I'm thinking what's happened is the YouTube algorithm has identified the high-speed music as music. So it's attempting to analyze the copyright situation with it. And what YouTube does is it compares your video to every song ever made. Basically, that's what it's doing, in some amazing way that just splits my head open to think they can do something like that. And I'm guessing in my case, because I played this record at 45, it just can't match the music. It knows it's music, and it cannot match it, and so it's caught in some exception routine. It's going up in levels of analysis. They're doing all kinds of stuff in their algorithm to try to figure it out. They're shuffling it off to the side for a human to check it at some point, and basically the algorithm has said, I don't know what's going on here. You check it, Mr. Human. I don't know. But in any case, I haven't been able to post the first video, which is why I've got a huge gap now on my channel. So that's the story there. And now I'm going to play this record at 45, the wrong speed, and we're going to listen to it. I've got the output of this fed right into the sound system you're listening to me with, and I'm going to put my headphones on so I'm listening to me too. And we're going to play this record through here. Let me just turn up a few levels. The level thing might be a little off at first. Hey, let's see if this is going to work. That's another issue. There we go. Whack! Boy, it comes down fast, doesn't it? So I'm hearing stuff. Now, I'm going to trust that the copyright thing will not catch this. I only hear it out of one ear, just my left ear. So what we're going to do, yeah, this will make it skip and everything doing this. I'm going to knock that over. Here come the chipmunks. Now, skipping. That's me shaking the record. That'll stop the copyright hit too. So this guy's dead. Let's put him back in. My guess is it's the switch under here. The muting switch is a bit dirty or something like that. First, other possibilities here while we're listening. Bad wire? I don't think so. I think I just proved that can't be the case. Wire's funny right behind here? I don't think so. I can see they're connected fine. The wire's funny up underneath. Just thinking, broken wire or something of that sort. It would pop that to life while I'm doing this. No, there's nothing happening. So probably the problem is right up here with the connection to the cartridge. Okay, so to try to deal with that, again, I'm just going to leave the one plugged in here. Let's link this up off the record. got the power off to the record too, so I can move the tone arm around. It won't turn on and off. And first thing I want to do is contact the wires and inject a hum at the cartridge and see if in fact that comes through on the headphones. And I'm going to plug the other one in actually. I'm not playing any music now. So the problem with these guys is you can't raise the cartridge very high to get a good angle to work on it. That's it. That's the end of it. That's the end of the road. So I'm going to try to touch those wires. And they're plastic covered, so this is not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, here we go. Don't know how loud this will be either. Well, it's not loud at all. You know why? The shorting thing is on. So I'm going to have to put this over top of the record and try this. Didn't make a click or anything, did it? I'm holding this. Oh, there we are. So that's the left ear. Now, can we make the sound come out for the right ear? I gotta turn this around this way. It's my left. It could be your right. Still gotta go for it. So I'm not hearing anything there. This is really quite clumsy what I'm doing. Seems to be no sound traveling down the wires. Phooey on that. Let's lock this in here before I have a disaster. I'm going to flip it over to really do any more with it. By the way, the spindle here, the owner of this record player was having trouble with the spindle. This spindle, push it down and turn it. Whoops. There. And then it can come up. So there's a little key there. A little hard to see. Slot. Go in the slot. None of this feels terribly comfortable. There. Goes in the slot. Now you got to push it down and then turn it. Like a bayonet connector. If you know what that is. Okay, so this has to come out because I'm going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to put this in. There's something about this. I think this is mechanically operating something underneath in the record player. Not exactly sure of that, but so we want to see the wires. Okay, flip her up. Here. Oh, yeah, see the wires. Wires are the problem here. Put this like this. Okay, see the wires. The wires are contained here, and the switch we're talking about is this piece right here, which is activated by this large wheel that goes around. Let's get the close-up camera on that. Make some observations. Exactly as the switch contacts. Must be kind of right here. I think, let me get a little more light there. I think I've seen the problem already. The record player is in play. No, it's not. It should be non. These things are shorters. I think they short across. One of them is definitely not making contact there. Sorry about the lighting. The lighting's so bad here. So, Now what I'm going to do, this thing's tipped up on its side, and I can't very well rotate it. So why would, but you know, if it's not shorting, why would it stop it from playing? Is this not a shorting type? I thought I read that. That's why I believe these are shorters. They could be, you know, if you open circuit, then you're going to get a hum and a buzz. That's, you know, so the tendency is you're going to want to put a short on. Let's see what we can see up in here. Anything come off, come loose. And what exactly are they shorting to? They are shorting to those strips. You can't really see, but they probably just go to the chassis somehow, somewhere back in there. So one in contact and one not. Now why would that be? I mean, they're both up here. And I probably can't move this wheel at all, but I'm going to try. Oh, a little bit. That's kind of odd. One's moving, the other one's not moving. Are they knocked out of alignment here? Is it not? Yeah, oh my gosh, I got grease all over everything here. Hold on a sec. Whatever kind of silicone they used, assuming this was done quite a while ago, it's still great. It's great stuff. Except it's all over me. And I have no cloth in here. Yikes! Okay. Let's look again. I'll try to keep the grease off my hands. So what's different about these two contact pieces? Nothing. They're both the same length. But definitely one is not in contact. It seems to be up just all the way it should be. It's bent a slightly different angle here. How could that be critical? So what I'm thinking is, well, what happened to this that it would be like this? It's not really the problem. Is it really more that one of them won't disengage? Let me, how are we going to do this? How am I ever going to do this? I want the platter to go around. I don't know how to, I don't know what to do. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, it's not obvious to me what is going on. Now, maybe this wheel's not in the right spot right now. Maybe it's not. I'll look again. And the problem is lack of sound. That would suggest what's happening is one of them staying shorted all the time. Yeah. That makes more sense with the symptom. This one never unshorts. Can I turn the platter here with this thing sitting like this? I cannot. Okay, I have to come up with some clever way to arrange cameras and this whole thing so we can see it operate. Okay, I got a good shot of the contacts there. Now I'm going to turn the platter, and I don't know what state it's in. Let's see. Okay, so it seems free of the drive wheel. Okay, so now I'm going to push automatic start. I'm going to be the motor still. Here we go. I'm going to slow down. Here we go. Tone arms up. Oh, did something happen? I wasn't looking. They're in the short position now. So I see they're both floating off the, they're not being kicked by the cam at all. So they both come down and they've done the shorting thing. Have they really? Hey, let's check this. So if I put my headphones on, I should have had my headphones on during this. So if I touch the cartridge, we should hear nothing. Okay, so I'm going to touching the needle here. Not a sound. Okay. Conceivably, both shorted out. Now we're going to continue on. Tone arm hasn't gone anywhere yet. Okay, it's on its way to the record. Now it's getting ready to come down onto the record. It is on the record. It is on the record. Huh. Well, that answers that question, sort of. What's happened here that it's only kicking one up? This whole piece is out of alignment? Is this whole piece out of alignment? Is this whole piece low? Is that what it is? Let me get more light on the topic here. Well, no, it looks like there's a ramp there for both of them. Oh my gosh. Oh, that must be on the TV. In the background, I thought I heard one of my cats crying like I've never heard it before. I think it's coming out of the TV in the other room. Well, a couple of simple options here. One is to defeat this so that the cartridge is always connected. That's going to be bumps and grinds coming out of the speaker when things are operating, and a pretty good kapowie. When the needle sets down on the record, it's going to really send a whack to the speaker, so that's not the best idea. Getting this to work right would be a better idea. I really can't see what's happened to the ramp piece there. Maybe I can move it just a little bit with my hand. Okay, all kinds of grease under there. Oh, don't. Ooh, what was that? What did I just touch? What made that sound? I'm a nervous sort, you know. This isn't even plugged in the wall, so don't be so nervous, John. There's nothing in it. Okay, I got it. To me, it looks like the ramp is missing on the one side. Doesn't it look that way? Okay, now can I wheel that back and forth? So that's interesting. What are we hearing in the headphones? You know what we're hearing? We're hearing the needle dragging on the side of the record. That's what we're hearing. I put it right on the record here. That's me turning the record back and forth. But it's no longer connected to the drive system, so it's not going to move the wheel at all that we're looking at. I have to stick my fingers up there. Okay, I'm going to move the drive wheel a little bit. There's a very distinct pop-up spot there. But the other one's doing nothing. The other one's, there's nothing there. That's the needle skipping over the record because I'm shaking the record too much. The cartridge is set very light on here, about 2 grams. It's very light. That's appropriate for a magnetic cartridge. So what do you do about this? Stupid. It's a stupid situation. It really looks like there's no ramp. Well, how can that be? I can rotate this wheel into a better position so we can see it. See the ramping area. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm the motor again. Engage. Engage. Oh, it went the other way. Okay, we're going all the way around. Going all the way around until it comes back into view. Look at that ramp thing there. What exactly is going on? It's not really a ramp thing at all. You know, that lower switch, it looks, that the lower thing. It just looks like it's just so low. It's missing the wheel entirely. Let's see if I can get up in there. Okay, here's another angle. Let me get my camera to stay there. Okay, let's put a little focus into it here. Just bear with me a second. I'd say it's below the wheel. Okay, let's keep turning the wheel now, because the real ramp part hasn't come by yet. So the cartridge should be shorted out right now. Come around. What's coming down? Oh, some mechanism's coming down in front of the camera. No, don't do that right now. Okay, let's try that. Keep going. Now there's clearly a big whopping ramp coming there. Catches the one. The other one's lined up fine with it, but it doesn't catch it. Why? Like, is it broken right there? Is that the piece, the ramp piece, is like smashed in or something like that? Okay, so we see what the problem is. It's not an alignment, it's nothing like that. Something has happened to the ramp. The ramp has a funny look to it right there in the camera too, but we can't be sure what we're seeing. The solution here is probably going to be to disable that switch so it never shorts. I could just do one channel even. That's a little better. But let's flip this thing over and take a good close look at that wheel and what has happened to it. Well, okay, it's rather tough to get this on a good angle here. Secure and safe. Good to look at. Looking at something black is a little tricky too. I'm going to set this on a much closer focus here. I can get right up close to it. Just bear with me a second. It does look like something's happened, doesn't it? So it looks like the ramp, can I call it the lower ramp? The lower ramp that appears to be in good shape. The upper ramp appears to be smashed. It really does. Now there's some grease on it there. So now this is really tricky to see, but you can see the two ramps are not the same height. The one that's not working is something has happened to it. So when the record player is stopped, it's normally sitting in this position. Is that right? Is that right? That's not right. That's not right. When the record player is playing, it's sitting in this position. So that's a pretty tough spring there. I'm pushing with my finger. It's pretty strong. And the other one, I can't get at. I'll pick it from underneath here. I think it's the same. I think they're both pretty strong. It's just wrecked this part here. Let me push on that part and see if it's it looks like it's an integral part of the whole plastic piece. It's all cast together, if that's the right word. And how it breaks away is a little weird. Solid as can be here. wedging force in there. Can't. It's not quite, I don't think, maybe I didn't see it right. No, it does, let's look on the end again here. Really having trouble seeing it. Is that a little extra piece they stuck on to the bumper, and the bumper pieces come off? Like they glued on a little bumper piece, just bumping the one, but it's missing on the other. Pretty simple problem. I just don't, I'm trying my best to figure out how to make this function again properly. So this should be pushed like that. Is there an angle problem with this piece? This piece here. Oh, this is as solid as can be, this thing. This is the main. This is just the audio. Bit of a shielding can on it. A screw here, but that's not going to affect. Oh, it might affect the position. Well, that's interesting. Now there's a screw here and a slot, so you can swing this end back and forth. And there's a screw here, but this one's not in a slot, so this is the fixes this end of it. And then you could swing it. You'd be swinging it like this. You'd be swinging it you'd be changing the amount of contact here between these springs on the wheel. But that's not going to solve the problem. The problem is the missing bumper piece, if I can call it that. I just called it that, so I guess I can. Maybe like a spot right in there where it's supposed to fall. Not moving at all. It's supposed to fall in there. When it falls in, it shorts out. This would be the rest spot. Well, other than concluding a little bumper piece is broken off and is gone. Really come around to the question of what to do about it. What are we supposed to do about that? Abandon it is easy enough. Abandon the one side so you only get half a pop out of your speakers. It could become an administrative solution where the where the record player requires the volume to be turned down until the needle touches the record. That's kind of a hassle. This is a worthwhile feature. There's something here I'm not quite getting. There's some more here I'm not seeing. I'm not realizing. some reason why these would work differently or have different. They don't really look any different. Huh. From this angle. Let me try feeling it here. See, there's a divot, but this one. So one's busy working up and down, the other one's just sitting there. Why? Oh, again, because some extra piece. There wouldn't be an extra piece here. They wouldn't make this and then you have to glue a little tiny tidbit on here. That doesn't make sense. Worn down. Just worn down. That's hard to believe too. I mean, it's not like this gets, it only goes around once every time you play a record. This only gets worked once for every record. I can't imagine you could wear that out. Defective from the start. Manufacturing defect. That's been in here the whole time. Nobody's ever heard one channel. The whole life of this thing. That's pretty hard to believe too. And this is spring metal, which means when you bend it enough that you strain it, it doesn't return to its original position. Once I do that, there's no putting this back. I don't think it'll ever work again. I'm just looking again for any kind of alignment thing, any kind of difference between those, anything at all that I can sort out. I'm going at it with the close-up camera again. The thing about the camera is it's blocking the light half the time when I'm doing this. What is different? I wish I could turn this right around. It's quite a distinct divot there that the one is going into. The other side, this is the key spot right here, where the shorter is engaged. Should stay engaged all the way until the needle hits the ground, hits the record. This is the rest spot. This is where the needle hits the record. Can I glue some kind of bump in there? Can I? What exactly is it? It's bumping over. It's just this. It really looks like there's an additional piece in there. When I look at the one that's not moving, let's see if we can see it from over here. Not quite. I'm going to take off this cover plate. I don't think I want to do that. The reason is the screw looks like it may be a nut and bolt screw and be trouble in the end. This is pretty good view. Yeah, you know, when I look at it like this, it just looks like it's been scraped, scratched. Is that just grease there? Well, from this view, what it would look like is it's just worn down to the point where it doesn't work anymore. There's no building it up. I don't think I can do anything in there. What I don't understand is why does it, like, that's the one that's moving is shorted right now. As soon as this thing starts turning, the short comes off. Does that make sense? It doesn't really make sense either. You'd like the short to stay on. And it's just for a short moment there, for some reason. It's to create the spot for this wheel to pop into. It's to create a grabbing spot. Like if the other one, the one that's working, wasn't working, this wheel might not stop in the right place. It might just keep going around, 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 never be brought to a halt. Maybe that's sort of the secondary purpose of this. Well, I've seen enough. The only solution I can offer here, and I dwell on this for a long time, is to bend that so it doesn't short. Is to remove the effectiveness of the shorting thing. Okay, so I can temporarily block it with a little piece in there just to see that that is certainly the problem. I'm just gonna block it here. I mean, I can just do it with my finger for crying out loud. But this is dumb. This is a dumb way of doing it. Neither are shorted. Now I'm going to touch the tone arm, the needle. Okay, that's stereo. That's coming out of both ears. So it's no question, that's the problem. Bend it or block it. Block both, block one. Good question. Of course, this piece of paper will fall out. I mean, this is just a temporary thing. Oh boy. We got big problems here. Okay, so the fact is, this is going to play, I'm sure, I just put it on there. I'm going to play both sides of the record. We don't even need to plug it in. That's enough right there. I heard it out of both speakers. So where are we at now? So now it's time to judge a couple of other things, really. The quality of the sound, which I'm sure is great. The balance of this tone arm. Let me bring this back over here. Balance of the tone arm. This is a pretty complicated looking deal here. So from a service point of view, there's bearings in here that you could adjust for their tightness and stuff, but no, I'm not going anywhere near there. Need special tools on this one. Is there any reason to even think there's a problem? So I'm looking for play in it. Looking for play. It's a little tricky to see play rate in the bearing, but nothing of any significance at all. Occasionally I've come across record players where this is just as floppy as can be because the screws come loose, and it's a simpler record players. So this is the setting for the tracking force. And usually the way this works is you would set this to 0 and move this over here, and you look for it to float. It's not floating. Let me just change this a little bit. It should float level. That certainly isn't. So we're going to move the weight back. It's got this nice little gizmo here to help with that. And we'll set a balance. Now I'm doing this without reading the instructions. I'd be surprised if this isn't the right way, but I will read the instructions. So it's pretty much floating now. Oh, going the wrong way here. Okay, so that's floating. So that means the 0 now is 0. We set this to 2 and feel it. That's awfully light, but that's pretty good. Is it really 2? Then I get my scale out and we'll attempt to measure it. I said attempt because it's the weight of the needle when it's, or the weight of the tone arm, if you like, or when it's right on the record. Maybe a little bit high or a little bit low, the weight is different. So we're going to try to put this in at about record height. That's pretty good. And then we got to get this to sit on it, and you got to be able to read the numbers. Just a second here. Okay, let's try it and see. I can't really be certain about much of anything here, but okay, put it like that. Touching the record with the scale there. Okay, we'll set it down. Oh, for crying out loud. So the number there is 1.4. Anybody want to believe that number? We'll try it right on here and just see what it says. About the same, 1.7. It's light. You think it goes a little? That's pretty light. Still within the range of very, very good cartridges. Well, I think, this is good enough. I can't swear this is accurate. I can feel the weight with my finger. It's definitely very, very light. Now, what would make it too light? Skipping? Or even if it was really light, even the anti-skate will pull it all the way back across the record. Anti-skate adjustment. Anti-skate adjustment. Okay, well that's one I'm going to have to read up on to see how you do it in this unit. Or check it. Okay, so this is interesting what they've written here about the anti-skating device. Since the tone arm is not infinitely long and the tone arm head is at an angle with the tone arm itself, a small force results which tries to swing the tone arm towards the center of the record. This force is called the skating force and causes the stylus to exert more pressure on the inside surface of the record groove. The skating force is dependent on the tracking force, the radius of the style tip, and the friction between the stylus and the record. The anti-skating adjustment is made by adjusting the tracking force. This is done by means of a spring in axial alignment with the tone arm. The anti-skating adjustment is made by adjusting the tracking force. So let's go back to the record player here. So on this record player, and probably with quite a few of them, they have the anti-skating system connected in some way to the setting for the tracking force. And we can take a look under here, and we can see the spring they're talking about. Let me just switch here to here, and then I have to find it. Where is the camera? Over here. So here's the tone arm just going down under, and you see a spring right here. That spring. And it's connected to this weird looking lever with these weird, what are those things hanging there? Well, I don't know. But this rather odd way of connecting it. And what's it doing? Let's see, I think this might be a fixed. Sorry about that. I think this is a fixed post over there, and this is the business end here. And what it's trying to do is just trying to pull back with an equivalent force to what is pulling the tone arm in. Skating force. Skating force is a little hard to understand unless you think in extremes. I do this regularly. If I can't understand something, I start taking elements of it to an extreme, and then it starts becoming really apparent. So one extreme here would be, well, what if the record player didn't play there? What if the needle set down way over here? Now, it's pretty easy to see that if the record were going around, my finger would be pulled that way, right? It's going to be pulled that way, and that's what this tracking force is. Only instead of it being way out here, it's occurring way in here, and it has to do again when I talked about an arc being described by the swinging arm. If you look at stupidly high-end and ridiculous turntables people build, they'll take this tone arm and they'll make it 4 feet long. 4 feet long. In fact, they'll have this part mounted separately from the main record player. It's way over there somewhere with this incredibly long tone arm in order to defeat the skating variation that's going on the record, and to get the needle to be perfectly asymptotical with the curves here and the center line to the center of the record. So you look on the internet and look for, you know, $50,000 record players. Yeah, you find them with these 3 and 4 foot long tone arms. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assume that it's all fine, because I can't really do anything here except mess it up. And the skating force is a small factor. There's no reason to think there's any problem here. Bad skating force, anti-skating force set thing, if it were really bad, the record would, the needle, well, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. Now, assuming that everything is perfectly level, this is not the best thing to do. Which way is it moving? Okay, so it's moving outwards, and that's the skating spring or anti-skate mechanism pulling on it. Now there's nothing pulling it in, so that's why it headed this way. But conceivably, when the record's playing, the force pulling out is the same as the force pulling in. That's it for that. So where are we at now? I'll get this up off the record. So we got it playing stereo, but I got to make a permanent repair or do something permanently. I am probably just going to ruin that switch. That's what I'm going to do. So the switch won't work. That means when the needle sets down on the record, it's going to send a wampo to the speakers. And it would be wise to try to avoid that as much as possible. Now, you know, the same thing happens. You're playing the record. Now that you pick it up with this, well, like it is, and you go, I'm going to play over here. Look, you can even see the anti-skate working now. Skating force varies as you travel across the record, so all this is very complicated to try to zero all this out. Interesting. Okay, but the thing is, this wouldn't be muted, and then I move it over here and I put it down onto the speakers here. Wow, it really did. Look, it's really moving a long ways. Now that could be because the bearings up here are super duper bearings. I was reading about them in the manual. special precision, of course, bearings with special coatings on them and other stuff. Wow. It even says the weight here is suspended in a method that involves some flexibility. So if you bang the record player, or maybe during transportation, bang it around a bit, the weight here won't distort this arm. Something like that's going on. I would think you'd take this weight right off when you transport this thing, if it were to go into, if it were to go anywhere serious, or maybe, on its way from the factory to the store. They'd probably have this taken right off. Very good. All that's really left here is just to hear it play a little bit of a regular piece of music. This isn't the best record to try. Let me get a better record. Well, I've picked one of my all-time favorite records here. In Hearing of Atomic Rooster. My sister brought this record back from England when she went on a trip. Actually, I have two of them. This is a North American pressing. And this is the British pressing that she brought back. The British pressing sounds way better. Now, the sad story about this record is one side of it got ruined. Break my heart. Cat knocked a plant over onto it and smashed it with dirt and everything, and this side of it, look, can you look at it? Oh my God, look what happened to it. Break my heart. It really did. But this side's still okay. So we're going to play this record now. Of course, copyright is going to come if I oh, what's that? Mark on it there too. So I'm going to have to do something to this to try to defeat the copyright problem. But let's put this down. I'm going to plug it in. Well, I've got to plug it in and set it up here. Hang on. Okay, here we go. No microphones.
From the sun till the game is won. The sun, the key